Going to be going over on editing your images in Photoshop, and this is for your headshot assignment. So we're going to go File, New, and we're going to work in inches, and our canvas is going to be in 10 by 8 on landscape. Our resolution is going to be 150 dpi. And then we're going to press create. Now, here is our landscape, and we need to, or actually here's our canvas, and we need to put our 3 images from our headshots into our canvas. And we're going to go File, Place Embedded, and we're going to go to our 3 images. I already have them in a folder already set up. So our first image is our largest image, which is our main image. And I just click, and then I'm going to place it. But actually, before I do that, let me go ahead and delete that, is we need to do some math. I purposely made our canvas 8 by 10, and we need to divide that equally on the horizontal and the vertical. So it's going to be a 4 inches across, and so we have these guides. These guides are super important. If you don't have the ruler, we press Command R, and that'll bring the rulers up. If we double click on the rulers, this preference will come up, and right now I have it set for inches. You want our rulers set for inches. Alright, so this is going to be super helpful, and you need to have this in order to do it correctly, because we don't want to have any white space to show. So once again, File, Place Embedded, and we want our image, and it magically is perfect. So we go double click to accept it. Now we need to do the other side, and we need to place our diagram and our setup. So I go File, Place Embedded, and here is our setup. I'm just going to go right here on the right side, and I am going to have this over there. Now I know that it's overlapping into the other side, because our next side is we're going to place our diagram, and we're going to fix that in a minute by overlapping in layers. So let me go ahead and bring up the layers. I'm going to pull this over here so we can see it easily. Excuse me. And the next image I'm going to place is my diagram. So I go File, Place Embedded, and here is my diagram. And I'm going to place that right here. Now I'm going to squeeze it to make it smaller, and so that it overlaps right into my bottom guide. But you can see, and then to accept it, double click, you can see that it overlaps into my image on the left side. There's a real easy fix for that because we have layer hierarchy. I'm going to move my image, a large image, I'm going to number that, I'll just call that number 1. I'm going to place that to the top. And now I have that image of my diagram, which I'll call number 2, right here on the right. So now I have my, everything is all proportionately correct, because our most important thing is our image that shows their final image we have. And then I'm going to number my layer for the setup, number 3. So to review, let's go ahead and show this. Image 1 is my large image. Image 2 is my diagram. And image 3 is my setup. Now I need to label, number and label this setup. So I'm going to go down to the text tool, Command T, quick key T, and I'm going to choose my font. So I have Arial Bold, and this is going to be 150 dpi. It's way too big. I'll try 60. Let's try about 24. So let's do it again. T. And for some reason it went down to 5.56. So I have 30. And I go, once again, that's quick key T down towards the bottom of my row. And I'm going to type in 01. Now, I need to also, now if you realize I typed in something, but I can't see it. That's because my layer is way on the bottom. So I'm going to push this all the way to the top. And, you know, there it is. But I need to change that because it's not what I want. So I'm going to delete my other layer and go back to the T, activate it, 01 front. I'm going to select it. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, maybe like a 60, and then use my move tool. And 60 is way too big. And also, I can barely read it against the white background. So I'm going to change the size, and I am going to make it now black. And I selected, and I have my color clicker. So here's black. You can see it's way easier to read. And I'm going to make something a little smaller, about 48. And there is my file ready to go. But I'm going to make it even more fun. To make it different, to make it more exciting, I'm going to change that bold to regular. And when I click off, I have the number in bold and the title in not bold. Then I'm going to go ahead and go File, Save As, or excuse me, Save. And I'm going to name it, I'm going to make a folder, and I'm going to call that folder PSD. That's my Photoshop file folder. It's really important that you save your Photoshop files. So 01 underscore HH for headshots underscore last name underscore first name .psd. So now I save my Photoshop file. Now for submission, you are to submit a JPEG file. Now it's really important that we do save the Photoshop files in case you want to change something later on. So I go File, Save As, and I want to save my JPEGs. So I have a Photoshop folder, and I'm going to go make a new folder, and I'm going to call that JPG. So there's JPEGs. And then I want to save a copy. Now, why did I click on Save a Copy? Because if I didn't, let me go ahead and back it up. So File, Save As, and go back to my original folder, go my JPEG, and I want to save a JPEG, but all I have options are large, document, Photoshop PDF, and TIFF, and I don't want that. So you go save as a copy, and it blinked. And then now you have the option for JPEG. And excuse me. And so I have my 01 underscore last name underscore first name, and then I'm going to go ahead and save that in my JPEG folder, because now it's a format as a JPEG, and I press save. Then this option will come up. We want a high quality of 12, and I press OK. So now I have this folder ready to submit in my JPEG. Let's go ahead and take a look to see where it's at. So I have my themes buried pretty deep. So give me a second to pull it up. And JPEG, so here's my JPEG file, and here's my Photoshop file. You want to save your Photoshop file in case you want to do some editing. The JPEG file is for submission. And there you are.